Right now on Morning News Now, the race for the White House, now a sprint to the finish with early voting underway in battleground Georgia.
Last time I waited, line going around the block, around the corner. Now I'm getting my vote in today.
I was awake before 6. I would have come out then, but it was kind of chilly, but I did it for them, for the women in my family.
Plus, a key ruling by a Georgia judge over certifying the results of the election. We have team coverage. Also this morning, North Carolina struggling to recover 3 weeks after Hurricane Helene. We'll bring you the latest as crews search for dozens of people still missing. Plus, recall alert developing this morning. 10 million pounds of meat being pulled off the shelves nationwide over listeria concerns. What doctors want you to know. And changing the game, an all-woman ownership group is working to build Boston's next big sports franchise. In our latest edition of Women Mean Business, I'll share my conversation with one of the co-owners of the new Boss Nation FC about bringing women's soccer front and center to a city dominated by men's sports. Just announced the team name.
Boss Nation, I like that.
I know, and we'll tell you, there's a little trickery in the letters there. We'll tell you about in a little bit.
Cool. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this Wednesday morning with the race for the White House. Voters are already making their voices heard with 20 days to go until the election.
Yesterday was the first day of early voting in the crucial battleground state of Georgia. Get this, more than 328,000 people cast their ballots, beating the previous record by nearly 100,000. This is according to data from Target Smart, analyzed by our NBC News Decision Desk. Another election headline out of Georgia, a judge there blocked a new rule from the state's election board. It would have required counties to count ballots cast on Election Day by hand. Critics say a hand count would create delays in reporting results. Former President Trump held a rally in Georgia last night. There, he criticized Black and Latino voters who plan to vote for Vice President Harris.
And I'll tell you what, any African American or Hispanic, and you know how well I'm doing there, that votes for Kamala, you got to have your head examined because they are really screwing you.
As for Vice President Harris, she's heading to Pennsylvania today for a campaign event, and she's slated to sit down for her first interview with Fox News. Yesterday, she took part in a radio town hall in Detroit.
Leading us off this morning, NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns, who is in Atlanta, and NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell. Good morning to both of you. Dasha, let's start with you. Today is day 2 of early voting in Georgia. Walk us through this amazing first day. Explain to us what we should know also about this court ruling against the hand counting of ballots cast on Election Day.
Look, first of all, Joe, absolute record numbers, a complete blowout in terms of how many people turned out to vote on the first day of early voting. The second piece you're talking about here is really important to think about, given what happened in the last election, with some of the delays caused by the changes in rules around COVID and some of the chaos sown in the process because of the false claims of election fraud by the former president. So this board, this board of electors, or rather some election officials, had decided to rule about hand counting these ballots. Now, that's been blocked, and that means that the delays that could have been caused by that hand counting will no longer be an issue. That's something that both the Republican Secretary of State opposed, as well as other Republican officials. Simply, they said it's too close to Election Day to make that kind of change, and it could have sown some chaos in the process.
Dasha, former President Trump is heading to Florida today for campaign events, but he first held a rally last night in Atlanta. What were some of the takeaways from that?
Well, you played one of the sound bites that's making the rounds, the former president saying that any Black or Hispanic voters that vote for Vice President Harris should have their head examined. That's something that he has said as well about Jewish voters. And he did focus a lot on early voting, which he had vilified in the past, but now the Republican Party and the former president's campaign are encouraging their voters to utilize. Take a listen to some of what he said.
So if you have a ballot, return it immediately. If not, go tomorrow as soon as you can. Go to the polls and vote. We don't want to take a chance. We can't lose this country. We're going to lose our country if we If we're not successful, immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will rescue every town across America that has been invaded and conquered. They've conquered our country. This is an invasion of a military force.
And you've noticed likely the increased and heightened darker rhetoric around immigration. That is a strategy from the campaign. They believe that immigration is one of the key issues that will take the former president over the finish line as part of his closing message. The economy and immigration, that is what the Trump campaign wants to shine the spotlight on for the next several weeks until November 5th, guys.
Kelly, let's bring you in here, talk about Vice President Harris's appearance at a radio town hall in Detroit. She was very critical of the former president. What are her main lines of attack right now?
Well, good morning, Joe. She was definitely talking about how she wants to separate herself from the kind of dark rhetoric that Dasha was just talking about, calling out former President Trump for his abandoning the rule of law and the way he talks about things, and for his record, especially among African-American voters. When you look at the plans that he has, or the concepts of plans, as she would say, and his lifetime of being critical of that community and not doing enough to support them. Now, of course, former President Trump would say that the employment numbers were good among African Americans when he was in office, but she has a very strong argument to make to say that Donald Trump would not help. And so here's part of what she said with Charlemagne the God.
Ask Donald Trump what his plan is for Black America. Ask him. I'll tell you what it is. Look at Project 2025. Project 2025 tells you the plan includes making police departments have stop and frisk policies. The plan includes making it more difficult for workers to receive overtime pay. The plan includes ending the ability of Medicare to negotiate drug prices. You know what we have done? He said he would. We did.
And the vice president talked for an hour there, taking questions from the interviewer as well as others. And of course, this is one of the key groups she is trying to win over. Black voters, typically very high numbers for Democratic candidates. Hers have been slipping in polling. She wants to shore that up. Joe?
Kelly, also President Biden was on the trail yesterday to support Harris, who is in Philadelphia. What'd he say?
Yes, Savannah, the president has not been out on the campaign trail much, so this was notable, and he was speaking to a union group. And what really stands out is he talked about the vice president needing to cut her own path, that he had done so as vice president, being loyal to Barack Obama, but then being his own man, his own president in office, and he expects she will do that as well. That is critical in order for the change to be seen as not just an extension of the Biden administration, where she can claim credit for a number of the things they have done together, but to also allow her campaign in these final weeks to have some areas of separation. And she's been a little uncomfortable talking about that, not wanting to appear disloyal to Joe Biden. Joe, right. Savannah?
Dasha and Kelly joining us with 20 days to go. Thank you both.
Well, as the race for the White House heads to that finish line, the Harris campaign is trying to use several recent gaps and unsteady rally appearances by former President Trump to cast doubt on his fitness to be president again, as we just mentioned. NBC News senior Washington correspondent and News Now anchor Hallie Jackson reports.
Vice President Harris looking to flip the script against former President Trump, putting his age and health front and center. Her campaign pointing to Mr. Trump's unusual soundtrack session after that pause for medical help for audience members.
There's no need to feel down.
Mr. Trump calling the interlude amazing and a great evening.
That was awesome. I was dancing with him. I loved it.
But the Harris campaign suggesting Mr. Trump appeared lost, confused, and frozen as Democrats ramp up a push to cast doubt on Mr. Trump's mental fitness.
He's confused. He's a nearly 80-year-old man.
They're pointing to stumbles like this one.
If everybody gets out and votes on January 5th or before
the election on November 5th, and highlighting his digressions.
Did you ever hear of Hannibal Lecter?
And run-ons, like one described by a former Republican congressman as a heaping pile of hot mess.
He was asking her all these, they don't take like I do. Anybody wants to go, what the hell difference does it make? They have, and how dishonest was ABC?
The former president has touted his rhetorical roundabouts.
You know, I do the weave.
as intentional.
I'll talk about like 9 different things, and they all come back brilliantly together. But the fake news, you know what they say? He rambled.
Trying to turn the focus instead to Vice President Harris.
I don't think she could pass a cognitive test.
The Trump campaign says the former president has more energy and more stamina than anyone in politics and is the smartest leader this country has ever seen. And they've highlighted some of Vice President Harris's unscripted moments, including this Monday they called low-energy word salad.
There is so much about what is at stake that is, frankly, the need for us to fight for the things that we hold dear, that we have always had to fight for, but must continue to fight for.
But polls show far more voters think she has the necessary mental and physical health to serve, with a 20-point lead on the question, a stark reversal from Mr. Trump's nearly 30-point margin over President Biden. And former President Trump remains under pressure from Democrats to release his medical records after saying in August he would. Back to you.
All right, Hallie, thank you.
Turn now to the latest in the Middle East. This morning, Israel has resumed its attacks on the Iranian-backed militant group Hezbollah in Lebanon, hitting Beirut with airstrikes for the first time in 6 days. The Israeli military says it's targeting strategic weapons hidden by Hezbollah in the area.
Meanwhile, Israel is continuing military operations in Gaza. This morning, the IDF said it killed a Hamas drone unit commander in an airstrike on northern Gaza. This comes as the U.S. has formally warned the Israeli government in a letter that if the humanitarian situation in Gaza does not improve, the U.S. may restrict military assistance to Israel.
NBC News international correspondent Megan Fitzgerald joins us now with the latest. Megan, good morning. So let's start with this new wave of Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon. What's the latest?
Joe, good morning to you. Look, Israel just continues to pound Lebanon. The latest strikes happening this morning in 2 different locations. The first, a suburb just to the south of Beirut, where Israel says Hezbollah has a strong presence and that they were striking a weapons warehouse. But, keep in mind, we're talking about a busy residential and commercial area that came under fire this morning. At this point, the death toll there is still unclear. But this particular strike comes after the U.S. told Lebanon yesterday that they were opposed to what they say the scope and nature of Israel's bombing on and near the densely populated capital city. There were also strikes this morning in southern Lebanon, which killed at least 6 people, including a mayor of a town. Again, the IDF says they are targeting Hezbollah's infrastructure. Joe?
Megan, let's talk about that letter. So again, for the first time really since April, the U.S. warned Israel that it may restrict military aid if the humanitarian situation in Gaza does not improve. What more are we learning, and how's Israel reacting?
Well, look, we've been reporting for months about the deteriorating and dire humanitarian crisis unfolding inside Gaza. Humanitarian aid organizations calling it a complete catastrophe. People, including children, dying from severe malnutrition. So we are now seeing this warning coming from the White House again, essentially saying to Israel, if you want military aid, increase humanitarian aid, improve the conditions on the ground in Gaza. This was a letter that was sent by Secretary Blinken and Defense Secretary Austin saying that under U.S. law, America needs to assess if Israel is directly or indirectly impacting the transfer of aid into the enclave. Guys.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
For more on this, let's bring in Brett Bruen. He's the president of the Global Situation Room and the former director of global engagement for the Obama White House. Brett, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's start by talking about this letter to Israel from U.S. officials that we just were discussing with Megan. What's the significance of this step from the U.S.?
Well, it does represent, as you mentioned, Savannah, an important milestone. We have not called out some of Israel's actions for several months. That being said, I do worry that, we have tried to have it both ways. That is to say, we are articulating full support for Israel's efforts at self-defense. On the other hand, we occasionally pop our hand meekly up in the back row and say, we would kindly suggest, would you hold back on some of these more aggressive actions. I think we have to start conditioning our military aid on Israel actually hitting some humanitarian benchmarks, and that without that, we're not going to send more.
So, similar warnings and requests were made by the U.S. in April, but in the last few months, we really have seen the humanitarian situation in Gaza continue to crumble. Do you think Israel will be responsive to this request this time around? If so, what shape could that take?
Well, Joe, this is, again, where I think we have to start getting more serious about these statements. You know, simply sending a suggestive note is not going, as we've seen over the last year, to change Netanyahu's calculus. But if we start setting some benchmarks, if we start setting some real conditions, then I think we will see a change in how Netanyahu is executing this war. And so this is where Biden and his team have got to get out of the strong statements business and start getting into the business of actually putting in place some strong conditions for our aid.
Speaking of aid, the U.S. announced it's sending an advanced anti-missile system and about 100 troops to Israel to support it. That seems to be in preparation for more engagement with Iran. But do you see U.S. involvement increasing even further in the region? And what do you make of that move?
Well, one, look, this is significant. We are going to have the boots on the ground in defense of Israel and obviously putting our service members in harm's way. Obviously, we've seen just in the last day a drone that struck and killed 4 Israeli service members. So this is a notable escalation in U.S. engagement. That being said, I think we are also obviously preparing for various scenarios should the situation escalate with Iran, and not just within Israel's borders, but across the region. So this is a moment perhaps of historic tension, of historic danger for the region. And the U.S. obviously has got to have all of its assets positioned appropriately, but we have got to be very careful in terms of how they are engaged and obviously very cautious in terms of next steps.
All right, Brett, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Sure thing.
Jack Frost seems to be visiting before Jack Skellington this year as chilly temperatures continue to sweep the eastern half of the country.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman's here with that and more. Hi, Angie. Good morning.
How clever, guys. Yeah, you know, we've got some chilly temperatures out there, to say the least. A lot of folks needed to grab those jackets yesterday. You're going to need to do the same exact thing through the day today. Essentially, we're seeing frost and freeze alerts stretching from the plains out towards the southeast and up into portions of New England. And these are going to stay with us through the morning hours. We'll slowly but surely start to see temperatures warm up a touch. But right now, here's where we currently stand. Low 30s for Madison, Sioux Falls, Duluth, Omaha. Some of those spots were into the 20s a couple hours ago. We've got 40s across the board across the Great Lakes. We see 42 degrees for places like Pittsburgh, even 44 degrees right now in New York City. By this afternoon, a little bit of a warm up, as I mentioned. We'll get into the 60s for Richmond, Boston. You hit the mid 50s. These temperatures for places like Cincinnati and St. Louis running about 5 to 10 degrees below normal. A bit of a different story if you look out towards the Rockies, though. 79 degrees for Denver, Salt Lake City headed to the 80s. So feeling like summer in some of those spots. That's not going to last. We're going to see a bit of a change up here, especially as we get into the weekend for folks over there. But look at Minneapolis here as we get into tomorrow. Big difference in your temperature by tomorrow afternoon versus this afternoon. Upper 60s for Minneapolis tomorrow. We still stay below normal for places like Nashville, Cincinnati, and New York as we get through your day tomorrow. And then by the weekend, basically everybody starts to see those temperatures rise. Upper 60s is where we land for Friday in Washington, D.C., but back to the mid 70s Sunday. We'll see 70s in New York to wrap up the weekend. Cleveland as well. These are temperatures that will last for a little while, too, into the extended work week of next week. Now, on the West Coast, we've got some rain that we're tracking across the Pacific Northwest. There's a couple of fronts that are working in through the day today, but look ahead to tomorrow. Storm system is going to start to kind of take shape across parts of the Four Corners region, specifically Utah. This is going to bring a whole lot of snow to Montana, spreading from that region all the way down to Nevada. So we'll watch for that to be potentially bringing us some additional rainfall and snow for this time of year. We're actually running a little behind when it comes to snow across this region, but even still, this will bring us some strong winds as well across eastern Colorado. This is Friday, so that's just one thing to note for folks there. And that mountain snow will continue into the weekend for folks there. We'll also see an increased flood threat across New Mexico. So a little busier temperatures on the warm side for folks there today, but they will soon be talking about some snow in that region,
change.
Guys. A bit of a mix-up.
All right.
There we go. Quiet-ish, though, so that's
exactly.
good. Angie, thank you. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later updated this hour, a massive meat recall. 10 million pounds of chicken sold at some of the nation's biggest grocery stores pulled over listeria concerns. What we're learning about the recall and the risks.
Up first after the break, a long road to recovery for survivors of Hurricane Helene as the search continues for dozens of people still missing. We'll bring you the latest next. We're back now with the ongoing recovery efforts in storm-ravaged North Carolina. Officials there say 92 people are still unaccounted for almost 3 weeks after Hurricane Helene devastated the western part of the state. The National Guard is continuing to search through the wreckage for those missing people.
At a disaster recovery center in Asheville Tuesday, Governor Roy Cooper pledged to unlock state, local, and federal funds to help as many people as quickly as possible. He also urged those spreading misinformation online that is hampering the recovery effort to stop.
This misinformation needs to stop. It's hurting the very people that we all want to help. It's sowing seeds of confusion. It makes some people intimidated to apply for assistance that they desperately need. It hurts the morale of responders and people who have lost everything. So it needs to stop.
Lillian Govis is the Director of Communications and Public Engagement for Buncombe County in North Carolina, and joins us now. Lillian, we appreciate your time. It's so important we continue this conversation. Absolutely. 3 weeks later and ongoing. Let's start by talking about the missing. As we said, 92 people still unaccounted for. That's a number that's getting a lot of attention. Talk to us about some of the challenges you're facing in simply figuring out the fate of these people.
Yeah, we still have urban search and rescue teams on the ground here, USAR teams who are working. We've had landslides, mudslides, obviously tremendous flooding like you're showing. So the search continues, and we are working through multiple lists and trying to make sure that we do everything we can to find our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones here in Western North Carolina.
Where do things stand in terms of reopening roads, reconnecting power, water? Is that on track, and are you getting the resources you need to fix those things?
We are, and like you said, Governor Cooper was here yesterday. We've still got a couple thousand people who don't have power, which it's going to be very cold tonight, so that is a significant issue for us. We are getting water restored throughout the community. Yesterday, it made it to West Asheville, so the reservoir is on the east side of the county in Swannanoa, Black Mountain area. And so it's made it to West Asheville, and the water restoration will continue. So we're making exciting progress there, both in terms of power and in water, which is critical as we face these really cold temperatures tonight.
Progress is the word we want to hear right now. The governor made a point of calling out that misinformation that's being directed toward first responders, especially FEMA. Talk about how that's actually hurting the victims of Helene. And can you help set the record straight about the work they're doing and its importance?
Well, you know, one of the things that FEMA's doing here that I don't think folks even realize is that they're running ambulances for us because we had ambulances that were swept away that we lost in this storm. And so FEMA is doing that. I filed my FEMA claim. I live in Swannanoa. I filed my FEMA claim, and I've been working with them to set up the community care stations where people are taking showers and washing their clothes. I talked to a guy who he hadn't had a shower in 12 days, and he was the very first one in line for that comfort care station in Swannanoa. And it was just such a relief to him to have that. And FEMA did that. That is not something that they are not here to get in the way of helping. They are the helpers.
One of the things that the governor also had mentioned there was that this misinformation is making people not maybe ask for the help that they need or seek out those resources. What is it that people can be seeking out right now that you want somebody to know who maybe saw something online that wasn't true and it's keeping them from asking for that help?
Yeah, file that claim. You know, one of the things that FEMA will do, we were without power at my house for 12 days, I believe it was. I wasn't home for most of those days, but because I was at work. But one of the things that FEMA will do is they will help you recover the cost of all that food that is lost. And that's really critical right now while people are trying to rebuild and start to come back to a little bit of a sense of normalcy in some ways. So even I was talking to one of the representatives from FEMA, and he told me, even if you haven't experienced damage that you are fully aware of right now, go ahead and start that process and register so that you can start getting that help.
All right, Lillian Gobis, thank you for your time. We are continuing to think of you and your community. Please keep us updated.
We certainly are.
Thank you so much.
Well, we are now less than 3 weeks away from the election. We will keep reminding you about that. And while a lot of attention is paid to the presidential race, the battle for control of Congress is also on the ballot, and it's as tight as ever. As Democrats look to secure the majority in both chambers for the next term, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has been making the personal pitch to voters in several swing districts where close congressional elections could flip the House in his party's favor. And if successful, Representative Jeffries could become the first black Speaker of the House in U.S. history. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale spoke exclusively with Jeffries. She joins us now with that exclusive interview for us. Ali, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. Look, I traveled to Albuquerque, New Mexico with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Not the kind of place that you expect to be 1 month until Election Day, except when you remember that it's a big map out there, and there are a lot of different paths for House Democrats to try to take back that House majority. If you hear Jeffries tell it, House Democrats have already been governing as if they held the majority, but now they want the official control to go with it. Watch.
With that, I'd like to introduce our next Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries.
If you could put odds on taking back the majority, becoming Speaker, what are the odds you put on it?
Well, I'm not necessarily a betting man, but we are working as hard as we can.
I'm saying 51-49 if you don't give me another number.
The only numbers Hakeem Jeffries cares about are the ones on Election Day. Slim House margins mean flipping a mere 4 seats would give Democrats the majority, and Jeffries an historic speakership.
We're going to re-elect Gabe Vasquez as the congressman from the 2nd Congressional District in New Mexico. Thank you.
The road to controlling the House goes through seats like this one.
Why is a guy from Brooklyn in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Well, it's important for us to keep our foot on the gas pedal.
New Mexico's 2nd Congressional is one of the tightest races on the map. It's one of more than 24 flippable seats that could decide if it's Jeffries or a Republican holding the gavel come January.
Jeffries is bouncing between swing states, from Arizona to Oregon, New Mexico to Pennsylvania, and all-important California and New York. January 6th showed just how important who sits in the Speaker's chair can be.
Let's go. Let's just start.
We're prepared to affirm the will of the American people.
Do you believe Mike Johnson is, too?
It remains to be seen whether extreme MAGA Republicans are prepared to certify the election if Kamala Harris is successful, and that's a very troubling development.
Speaker Johnson is the Republican leader Jeffries deals with now, but it was Johnson's predecessor, ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who set the tone for this chaotic Congress.
Through all of the extraordinary and unprecedented events, I've come to the conclusion that calm is an intentional decision. House Democrats have been hard at work.
Calm may prove easier said than done for Jeffries and his fellow Democrats if Trump is back in the White House.
We will find bipartisan common ground with our Republican colleagues on any issue, traditional Republican colleagues.
Trump's not so traditional, huh?
Traditional Republican colleagues, whenever and wherever possible, in order to make life better for the American people. But we will push back against extremism whenever necessary. This is what we are dealing with.
Taking back the gavel means setting Congress's to-do list.
What's the first thing that Democrats will do?
Well, we'll figure out the order of the legislation that will move on the House floor, but it's fair to say that a top priority is to make sure that we pass, as we've done before, the Women's Health Protection Act in order to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade.
Now voters will decide if House Democrats get that chance.
And look, we just ticked through the fact that the map here is incredibly diverse for Jeffries and House Democrats as they try to retake the House. But the common thread, as he and others have been campaigning, is a hyper-focus on Project 2025. That is also something that the House Democratic campaign arm that Jeffries runs is now putting some serious money behind. The DCCC putting up $3 million in digital advertising across 7 states that are non-presidential battlegrounds, but that do have key House races. I'm talking about places like Oregon, Colorado, California, and Iowa. Again, California, Iowa, not places that we typically think about this time of year, but they are very top of mind for House Democrats as they try to thread this very thin needle back to the majority, guys.
Allie, great interview, and a reminder there's more at stake than the presidential. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Coming up, the cost of care. When we come back, a look at the growing financial burden of senior care as more Americans choose to keep their loved ones at home.
Plus, a nationwide recall involving millions of pounds of chicken sold at some of the nation's biggest grocery stores. Dr. Azar is in with that and your weekly checkup next on Morning News Now.
Welcome back. A record number of Americans are set to turn 65 this year, and that's bringing the cost of senior care into sharp focus, especially as more people look to stay in their homes as they age. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans has one couple's story.
With a record number of Americans turning 65 this year, the cost of aging is coming into sharp focus, especially with so many Americans who want to age in their own home.
Here in rural Wisconsin, Chuck and Sharon Zimmer's plan for their golden years was interrupted.
Come on.
When the tech came out, she shook my hand and she said, "The doctor's going to call you." My gut was saying he's got Alzheimer's.
Anything else you want to do in between? In 2018, the Zimmers' impending retirement rocked by that diagnosis. Sharon left her job 1 year shy of her 65th birthday, determined to take care of Chuck at home.
Everything that we worked hard for is going back into his care.
So you retired from your job to take on another job that is not paid.
Correct. So we saw our savings dwindle and dwindle and dwindle.
Their financial burden is common and top of mind for many voters in swing states like Wisconsin, where 580,000 unpaid family caregivers spend an average of $7,000 a year in out-of-pocket costs, according to AARP. The tally even higher for families caring for someone with dementia, more than $240,000 in the last 7 years of life.
Look at the bluffs way over there.
To say nothing of lost income when a partner like Sharon leaves a job to take care of a loved one.
Are kind of like your one-stop shop.
Kelsey Flock helps families connect with local resources.
If your loved one is diagnosed younger, they're losing their retirement, they're losing their income, maybe losing the primary caregiver's health insurance.
No wonder among women voters 50 and older, the cost of living, including retirement savings and caregiving duties, tops concerns.
The grass is always greener on the other side. On the other side of the rainbow, close.
6 years since Chuck's diagnosis, the bills pile up. Medicare covers his medications, but not nursing home or in-home care. They spend up to $1,440 a month for a private aide, but that's just 3-hour visits 3 days a week. Then there's transportation and home security.
If Chuck is out there getting the mail, and I'm like, that should be like a minute to come back in. He's not. I can pull it up on my phone.
In fact, the Zimmers recently packed up the home they loved. They're downsizing to an apartment to save money.
Put that in there.
But 41 years married.
What's this remind you of?
Golf.
They live without regrets.
This was Kentucky Derby right after Chuck was diagnosed.
And cherish memories as best they can.
When the money's gone and he passes away and I did the best that I could and I kept him home, I'm okay being broke. I'm okay saying the state's going to take care of you now because I did the best I could.
Vice President Kamala Harris recently proposed expanding Medicare to cover in-home elder care. The Trump campaign says his economic agenda would defeat inflation, lower prices, and he would eliminate taxes on Social Security, something that would benefit the elderly and caregivers. Back to you.
All right, Christine Romans, thank you.
Let's stay on some health news and get to your weekly medical checkup. We're going to start with the latest on a massive meat recall. It's impacting products sold at some of your favorite grocery stores.
We're going to break down everything you need to know about that, plus some other health headlines.
And our doctor is in, of course, NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar. She's here to help us out. So let's start with that right there. Millions of pounds of ready-to-eat chicken. I mean, something so many of us get. It's called Bruce Pack is the company that it's distributed by, but it's Trader Joe's, 7-Eleven, Kroger. The company did come out with a statement that said, in part, that they're working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to notify customers. What's the concern here, and how can we stay safe?
All right. So listeria happens to be the third most common cause of food-borne illness that results in death in this country. So it is definitely very important. And we have listeria outbreaks throughout the year. The thing that's important for people to understand is that this is chicken that's coming in something pre-made. So that could be in a wrap or in a salad, right? This is not like packaged chicken that you that you buy at the grocery store. The thing is that refrigeration and freezing these products doesn't kill the listeria. So what I would urge people to do is, if you are a shopper, any of those places, Kroger's, TJ's, and you have those ready-to-eat foods, go to the FDA's website and see if your product is one that is being recalled. And if it's in your freezer, even if it's in your freezer, you need to toss it. Listeria is one of those diseases that can be a little tricky. People can get sick a couple of days or even up to 30 days after exposure. And the chicken that is involved was the products were actually formed or made between June and October, so quite a long length of time. Again, go to the FDA website, take a look if you're one of these people who eats these ready to be eaten kind of chicken products, and toss it if it's in your freezer.
Let's talk about a court filing that's kind of shaking up the weight loss market. So basically now the FDA is allowing pharmacists to continue to compound versions of the active ingredient in Eli Lilly's weight loss drug Zepbound. It's a big deal because of the shortage of these drugs right now, but what do folks need to know?
So this is a little bit of a he said, she said on, is there a shortage? When the FDA declares that there is a shortage of a medication, that actually allows compounding pharmacies to manufacture that product. As soon as the FDA says there is no shortage, compounding pharmacies can no longer make that product. Just for people's information, Lilly says that there is enough to go around. This is what I want really people to understand. If you are looking to get the medication via a compounding pharmacy, you still need a prescription and you need to do your due diligence. When it comes to compounding pharmacies, they are good. They serve an incredible purpose for patients. You need to make sure that they are accredited, that they are licensed. You have to look into sterility, things like that. But yes, you can get the medicine safely from a compounding pharmacy, but only when the FDA says that there is an official shortage. And so, like I said, there's a little back and forth on this.
And the FDA is still looking into whether there is a shortage.
100%. Yes. I don't think we've heard the last of it.
Yeah. Also on weight loss drugs, it feels like we keep learning more and more about what they can do. There's a new study that suggests that there's a link when it comes to teens struggling with obesity on these medications and suicidal thoughts. What's important here?
So the backstory here is that there has been some mixed evidence as to whether or not these medicines, which are clearly so effective in terms of weight loss, can lead to increased suicidal ideation in people. I want to say that for the record right now, there is no firm evidence that these medicines increase the risk of suicide. But specifically looking at this patient population, we know that obese adolescents have a higher rate of mental illness and suicide by virtue of all the things, bullying and everything like that. So this study really wanted to look at whether or not kids, adolescents on these medicines had a higher rate of suicidal ideation. And they found not only was it neutral, but they had less suicidal risk than kids who were not on the medication, which is really very, very good news. My doctor's orders are this: if you have a child, an adolescent who is obese, please seek professional support. Make sure your pediatrician is involved in all of these communications. Keep an open communication with your child and your pediatrician if they have any history of depression, and certainly if they are on these medications, because it's still kind of an ongoing kind of idea or thought that they could be associated with suicide. That is clearly not the bottom line from this study.
And given this line of conversation, we do want to mention if you or anyone you know is struggling, you can call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. This is on your screen right here. It's just 988. Dr. Azar, thank you so much. Important headlines today. Coming up, telecom firms under fire over caps on internet data.
When we return, the federal investigation underway into the impacts on consumers and competition. This is Morning News Now.
We're back now with details about a historic $4 million fine being leveled against Lufthansa. The DOT accused Germany's flagship airline of discriminating against Jewish passengers back in 2022. Here's NBC News correspondent Sam Brock with more.
The federal government taking unprecedented steps.
Is there an official explanation for why? Wait a moment, please.
After a May 2022 Lufthansa flight carrying mostly Jewish passengers from New York City to Budapest heard this when the plane stopped for a connection in Frankfurt.
Due to an operational reason, we have to cancel you on this flight.
The Department of Transportation fining Lufthansa $4 million, a record for a civil rights violation against an airline, saying Lufthansa prohibited 128 Jewish passengers, most of whom wore distinctive garb typically worn by Orthodox Jewish men, from boarding their connecting flight. That was due to allegations some passengers weren't following masking protocols.
It's the toughest enforcement action that I have seen for a civil rights violation.
On the website Dan's Deals, a popular site for Jewish travelers.
This is 2022.
This exchange between a passenger and Lufthansa drawing outrage.
Jewish people who were the mess, who made the problems.
So Jewish people on the plane made a problem, so all Jews are banned from Lufthansa for the day.
Just for this flight.
Lufthansa condemned the incident at the time and wrote in a statement today it's introducing a first-of-its-kind training program to address anti-Semitism and is dedicated to being an ambassador of goodwill, tolerance, diversity, and acceptance. Now, a DOT declaration not to let this kind of behavior go unpunished. Sam Brock, NBC News.
Time now for some money headlines. United Airlines reported higher than expected earnings for the busy summer travel season.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other news. Hey, Silvana.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. Yeah, so United Airlines quarterly profit beating analyst estimates, with the carrier saying the summer travel season was prosperous. An oversupply of airline seats in the domestic market had forced airlines to discount fares, which was good for passengers, but it hurt the company's earnings. The industry has moderated capacity since by reducing the number of available seats. United and other airlines have also seen a boost from a more than 20% decline in jet fuel prices over the past year. The FCC is looking into the impact of data caps on broadband service. It's examining whether data caps harm consumers and competition and why they still exist given the increased need for broadband and the technical ability to offer unlimited data plans. Many internet plans come with a cap that limits how much bandwidth you can use each month. And if you go over that cap, you're charged an extra fee or your service is slowed down. And Elon Musk promised to produce lots of robotaxis when Tesla unveiled a prototype of the Cybercab last week. But there's a big problem with that. U.S. government rules won't allow it. Automakers must get permission from regulators before putting cars on the road without a steering wheel or other controls required by federal safety rules. If Tesla could overcome that, analysts say it could only put a few thousand Cybercabs on the road in a given year. Tesla hasn't asked for an exemption for the Cybercab. The company has declined comment, guys.
Those things are wild looking.
Seems like a significant snag.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Seems like you have to work that one out. All right.
Thanks, Silvana.
Coming up, she is breaking barriers in professional sports.
Up next in our latest edition of Women Mean Business, hear my conversation with one of the co-owners of Boston's new women's soccer team. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now.
Welcome back. A pair of 3-year-old giant pandas touched down at D.C.'s National Zoo yesterday from China via a FedEx Panda Express flight. Bao Li and Qing Bao are part of a 10-year breeding and research project between China and the U.S. The male and female pandas will spend the next month in quarantine before acclimating to the zoo's habitat and debuting to the public this January.
I cannot even imagine the crowd that will be there to greet them. It's very
I have a feeling a
exciting.
few images might emerge from that moment.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's end this hour with our series Women Mean Business. And today we are featuring one of the female leaders who's helping to drive the cultural movement we are seeing happen in women's professional sports right now. Anna Palmer graduated from Harvard Law School 13 years ago and since then has started 2 companies, both of which were designed for women. She was also the first female general partner at the Boston-based venture capital firm Flybridge. Well, now she is part of the powerhouse team of women, all women, who are building Boston's newest team. This was just announced. It's a professional women's soccer team. It will be the 15th team to play in the National Women's Soccer League when it takes to the pitch in 2026. In a city known for its championship legacy teams across several men's sports, of course, Anna Palmer and her co-owners say they are here to help write the story of Boston's next big team. I had a chance to talk with Anna about this historic milestone, starting with the meaning behind the team's name. Here's our conversation. Anna, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to get to talk to you, and congratulations on a big announcement.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here.
You got it. Okay, so now, team name, colors, logos, all that type of stuff is out there. Give us a little preview. Tell us what we can expect.
It is. So the name of the team is Boss Nation FC. And it's incredibly meaningful because if you take the word Bostonian and you rearrange those letters, you get 2 parts, boss and nation. So it's an ode to the city and the ode to our fans, which is what this entire name is built on.
This is so neat. And look at your blazer. Epic.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Tell me, I know that the idea for this team, it was sort of a long time coming, back in 2022, as I understand it. Tell me about the inspiration for deciding to go for this and for you deciding to invest in it.
It was. So it came from a conversation with one of the owners of Angel City FC, and we were having breakfast talking about how amazing Boston would be for women's sports. And from that point, then Jen and Stephanie and Amy and I, the other owners, had known each other through investing. And so teamed together and decided to go after it for Boston and make the impossible, with no stadium at that moment, possible thanks to the wonderful support of the city and Mayor Wu and all the people that have rallied around it.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you just a minute about now building a team and what that process is like. But first, you mentioned Boston being this amazing town for female sports, that potential there. This is actually not the first time, and some viewers might know this, that there was a professional women's soccer team in Boston. They played their last season back in 2017. Low fan base and low funding was part of what contributed to that closure. Do you think we are at a better time now? I mean, women's sports are obviously, we're talking about them more. We are certainly making it a point to put and celebrate them and cover them on this show in, I think, a pretty robust way. But do you think that this timing is different, that the fates will be different for this team?
Absolutely. So I think women's sports is a movement now. It's not just a moment. And with the former team in Boston, one of the neat things is that there was this incredible fan base that was there, where when we'd have fan events for the new team, you'd see people who had connected in women's sports years ago. And now to come back and have investment with the stadium, the facilities, and to do that in a way that has this new model, I think it's going to be really meaningful for women's sports overall and definitely for the city.
So tell us now about how you build a team out of thin air as you do this right now.
A lot of belief and a lot of help. I think one of the things that's been really neat with this team is that the city of Boston has truly rallied around it, from all the other sports teams owners to the city officials to people who have jumped in just to help wherever they can. And so you build a team from scratch, but you do it with a lot of help from a lot of other people along the way.
And you've got some exciting and huge, by the way, names who are either publicly supporting the team or even investing in the team. Tell us about that.
We do, yeah. So it was just announced that Elizabeth Banks and Allie Reisman, both 2 very powerful championship women coming from Boston, are investors in our team. And I think being a part of that alongside of the other women in the ownership group is just a wonderful moment for Boston sports.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit, too, for this segment, Women Mean Business. Like, we just love digging in on women who are doing something that often, at least from the outside, but I imagine from the inside, is male-dominated, can be difficult, can feel like an uphill battle. But you are, this is not your first rodeo, so to speak, at all. When it comes to something like this, you're a seasoned investor when it comes to women businesses and even in sports. Tell us a little bit about your career path.
So I originally was an entrepreneur. and had built 2 companies with the idea of being able to support diverse women makers with the last one, and then launched an investment firm called X Factor Ventures in partnership with Flybridge that invests in women entrepreneurs who are building extraordinary businesses and ideas. And then now I'm doing that through the Boss Nation soccer team and being able to bring some of that investment experience to women's sports.
Absolutely. We also always love to ask in this segment of someone like you, advice. The one thing that if somebody's listening to this right now, they could write down and try to kind of hold on to if they're a young woman maybe interested in going into sports or investing or finance, any of these worlds that might seem tough to get into from the outside.
If I look back on how Boss Nation started, it was 3 things. It was showing up, it was saying yes, and it was bringing other people along with you. So the breakfast that I had that led to this, I actually wasn't supposed to go to, and ended up showing up to, and then saying yes to this idea, even though it seemed impossible. And then it only got built because we brought so many other people along with us. So the advice I would give is, regardless of everything else, show up, say yes, and take people along with you.
Well, congratulations on this. When can we see Boss Nation play? When does this go live?
2026.
2026.
Yeah, 2026.
There we go. Anna, thank you so much for joining us. Fascinating conversation, and we are so excited for you, and I can't wait to come watch.
Thank you so much.
Let's go.
Love
Boss
it.
Nation.
Let's go.
Thanks, Anna.
So, Joe, like I mentioned there, Boss Nation FC, they'll officially start playing in 2026, which is so exciting. And fun fact, their home field, it's going to be at what's called White Stadium. That's in Franklin Park, which they will share with Boston Public Schools athletic programs. That was a big step for them, getting a location.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
That is a market where people will love this.
Yes.
I mean, people will go to these games and they will cheer them on and they will be passionate.
Yes, love. It's just so neat to have now a women's sports team entering the chat in such a big city. So it's cool.
To see that. All right, that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, so the news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, record-breaking turnout. Early voting underway in the battleground state of Georgia. Officials say more than 300,000 people cast ballots on day 1. And with voters turning out in force, former President Trump is doubling down on some controversial comments. Vice President Harris says her opponent is unfit to lead. Get the latest from the campaign trail with less than 3 weeks to go till Election Day. Also this morning, the White House issues an ultimatum to Israel. Improve the situation in Gaza or face a potential cut in military support. The deadline now in place as Israel pushes farther into Lebanon. Plus, a consumer alert this morning, nearly 10 million pounds of meat now under a recall order after a potentially deadly listeria outbreak. What you need to know and the impact felt by some of the biggest grocery chains in the country. And she captured hearts as Topanga Lawrence on the 90s hit Boy Meets World. Now Danielle Fishel joins us to talk about her real-life fight with cancer and why more millennials need to be proactive with their health. An important message. She was diagnosed in her 40s, and her story will help so many people really pay more attention to these issues and get the health care they need.
Absolutely. Something called stage 0 even, which is so important to know that you got to go in for that early detection.
We'll bring you that interview in a little bit. Let's begin this hour with the race for the White House. Only 20 days remain until Election Day.
We'll probably remind you of that like 10 times this hour. Early voting is underway in battleground Georgia. The state saw record turnout yesterday for the first day of in-person voting. Both Vice President Harris and former President Trump are back on the campaign trail, of course, today, as the VP pushes back on Mr. Trump's rhetoric at recent events. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander starts us off with the latest from Washington.
Hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning to you. In these final weeks till Election Day, Vice President Harris is trying to make sure that voters do not ignore former President Trump's increasingly incendiary language. And it comes as millions of votes nationwide have already been cast. And Trump, long a fierce critic of early voting, is now encouraging his supporters to embrace it. This morning, early voting has already begun. The key battleground Georgia shattering its first day record for early and absentee voting, with more than 328,000 votes cast, more than twice as many as 4 years ago. It comes as former President Trump, in an interview with Fox News set to air this morning, doubled down on his inflammatory remarks, referring to Democrats as the enemy from within.
It is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick, so sick, and they're so evil.
The Harris campaign has seized on that language, warning voters a second Trump term would be dangerous.
Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged. unchecked power.
Also pointing to a Trump appearance yesterday, not addressing the question of whether he'd commit to a peaceful transfer of power. Trump claiming the last one was peaceful, despite hundreds of his supporters storming the Capitol on January 6th, where more than 100 officers were assaulted.
But you had a peaceful, very peaceful. I left the morning that I was supposed to leave.
In an interview with popular radio host Charlemagne the God Tuesday, Vice President Harris amplifying the host's characterization of Trump.
The other is about fascism. Why can't we just say it?
Yes, we can say that.
Harris's interview part of trying to shore up the support of black voters, a key part of her coalition that polls suggest may be slipping. Trump on the attack.
Any African American or Hispanic, and you know how well I'm doing there, that votes for Kamala, you got to have your head examined because they are really screwing you.
Harris arguing Trump and his allies are trying to distort her record.
Part of the challenge that I face is that they are trying to scare people away because they know they otherwise have nothing to run on. Ask Donald Trump what his plan is for Black America.
And attempting to cast one of her perceived weaknesses as a contrast to Trump.
They say you like to stick to your talking points, and some media says you have...
That would be called discipline.
Later today, Trump is in Miami for a town hall with Univision targeting Latino voters. And Harris is going to deliver a speech outside Philadelphia, joined by more than 100 Republicans who support her campaign, warning that Trump poses a threat to the Constitution. Joe and Savannah, back to you.
Peter, thank you so much.
Breaking news from the Middle East this morning. The Israeli military launched a new wave of airstrikes in southern Beirut, the first time in the region in nearly a week. This comes as America puts pressure on Israel to increase humanitarian aid in Gaza or risk losing U.S. military aid. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from the Lebanese capital with the latest. Matt, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. It's just like you said. For the past couple of days, things here in Beirut have been relatively quiet until this morning. And in just the past couple of hours, we heard some steady bombardments in that neighborhood of Dahia right behind me.
This morning, Israel is on notice after a rare, stern warning from the White House as conditions in Gaza grow increasingly worse. The Biden administration telling Israel's defense minister that if the humanitarian situation in Gaza doesn't improve within 30 days, the U.S. may restrict military assistance to Israel. The State Department confirming the existence of a letter that was sent, but not confirming its contents. Israel relies heavily on U.S. military assistance, especially now as it pushes further into Lebanon, fighting Hezbollah by land and air with fresh strikes on Beirut overnight. Attacks that have set off a massive exodus of more than 1 million people. Many are now fleeing abroad, becoming refugees.
This ship almost always takes cars and freight, but it's a sign of desperation that now its main cargo is people.
Hundreds of people have traveled to the northern city of Tripoli from all over Lebanon. But this 12-hour ferry ride to Turkey is just the beginning of their difficult journey. Diana Bathish is traveling with 7 members of her family, including her elderly parents.
She said in the south she saw blood everywhere, children, old people, all of them afraid, and airstrikes all the time by the day.
For many, like Nermeen Hare, the decision was made quickly.
You just left everything, and you decided yesterday.
Yeah, we left everything. We left our dreams, we left our stuff, we left everything here.
Manal Seyman and her family could have hopped on a flight, but Israeli bombs are landing all around the main airport in Beirut.
It's very sad, really. We are leaving our homes, our families, our life, the whole life.
This journey may lead to something like hope. But right now, on this dock, there's only heartbreak.
And Joe, as Israel expands its attacks against Hezbollah, the Lebanese state news agency is saying this morning that there was a bomb strike on the city hall in the southern city of Nabatea. It killed the mayor and several other top officials there. Joe, Savannah?
All right, Matt, thank you.
Well, some students in storm-battered Florida are heading back to class this week as schools that were being used as shelters start to reopen. It's one of the first signs of a return to normalcy after Hurricane Milton tore across the state, killing 25 people and leaving behind billions of dollars in damage. NBC News correspondent Priya Sridhar joins us now from the city of Largo, where teachers in one of the largest school districts in the state are welcoming students back. Hi, Priya. Good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. That's right. Nearly 100,000 students here in Pinellas County schools are back in the classrooms this morning after a week away because of Hurricane Milton. And for many of these kids and their families, that simple routine of going to school is exactly what they need to feel normal again.
So this particular building had its roof taken off. All these ceiling tiles had water damage coming through. So
for Kevin Hendrick, the superintendent of Pinellas County Schools, this morning isn't just a return to class. It's a small sign of recovery.
Our #1 goal was to make sure students could return, give a sense of normalcy to our community, allow parents to return to work, and we're excited to do that.
One of Florida's largest districts, Pinellas schools also act as emergency shelters for the county, housing 6,000 people during Hurricane Helene and more than 12,000 people for Hurricane Milton. Hendrick has seen up close what families in this community have lost. He estimates 15% of his students' homes were destroyed by the two hurricanes.
Are you worried about the students at all? Because a lot of them are going to be mentally preoccupied by all of this.
Very much worried about mental health for everyone, not just students, but families and staff. But one of the ways you get through that is to get back into routines.
Melissa Simpson and her kids couldn't agree more.
How do you feel about the kids going back to school tomorrow?
Oh, so excited. So excited.
I'm mostly excited about going to see my friends and stuff.
But back to school is definitely not back to normal. Hundreds of thousands still have no power. People here are still struggling to find gas. Many have to boil their water if they have any at all. And there are more than 60 sites available where those who have lost everything can cook or find a meal. With potentially $100 billion in damage statewide and so much to rebuild, the return to school providing much needed comfort.
It's not going to be perfect. We'll have students at new bus stops because they had to relocate. We'll have some staff not able to return yet. But all in all, it's going to be a good day.
The first day back, it's all about love. It's all about love and support. It's not going to be a learning day.
Priya, tell us about some of the other schools in the state. How are they doing?
Yeah, Savannah. So I want to mention that even though Pinellas County schools are reopening today, there were 2 schools here that were so badly damaged in these hurricanes that they won't be able to reopen their doors again until the next school year. Now, that final school district here in Florida that has yet to reopen, that's the Hillsborough schools with more than 200,000 students. They're going to be starting classes again tomorrow. Savannah?
All right, Priya, thank you so much.
Let's get a check on your midweek forecast with meteorologist Angie Lassman.
Hi, Angie. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. An extra layer once again as winter has kind of taken shape over some of the country. I say some because there's other spots that are feeling like summer. I'll show you that here in a moment. But 84 million people with the number growing this morning of those under frost alerts. So we've got frost advisories, freeze watches, and warnings, and they stretch from parts of the southeast to the northeast and out towards the plains. These temperatures this morning, 30s and 40s for the most part. Earlier today, we did see a couple more 20s, but notice Springfield, Sioux Falls, all sitting in the high 20s right now. Madison, you're at 30 degrees, 43 for Pittsburgh, New York, 44 degrees. So a chill in the air for sure. That extra layer going to go a long way this morning. And even by this afternoon, you'll be able to peel off maybe one of them in some spots, but places like Buffalo, you're barely going to get into the 50s. We've got low 60s for St. Louis, Tulsa, Dallas. You top out at just 69 degrees this afternoon. I said summer because look at Rapid City, Salt Lake City, Denver, all sitting in temperatures that should be more summer-like kind of time frame for the year instead of this point of fall. Instead, though, we're going to head to the upper 70s in Denver today. We've got 80s on tap for a lot of folks, including Pierre tomorrow. We're going to continue to see the potential for really warmer than normal temperatures for that section of the country, while the east continues to be cooler than normal. Charlotte, you'll see a high of just 63 degrees tomorrow. We'll eventually get back to the 70s for Saturday and Sunday in Washington, D.C. That goes for Raleigh, Knoxville, Louisville, all ending up back into the mid-70s range by the time the weekend wraps up. Looking out west, we've got some rain to track and a little bit of snow. We're going to remain unsettled as a couple of fronts work to the east from that region. This is going to bring the potential for some widespread snow. That'll range from Montana to Nevada, and we'll see the potential for some rainfall as well across that region, which will bring the potential for flooding. Quick check on the tropics. We've got one area, just a 20% chance of development in the Caribbean Sea. We're not too too worried about that. And this other one that you see, the tropical disturbance 94L, 40% chance of developing, guys. The good news is that's going to run into basically a roadblock. It'll probably become a depression by later this week, but we've got a high pressure system that'll be over the east, a low pressure system that'll be over the western Atlantic, and that means that essentially it won't be able to move towards the United States. So we will watch for impacts potentially down the line for the Leeward Islands or other parts of the Caribbean, but we're not looking at any impacts for the United States. I am happy to report at this time.
Good to hear. We'll
Great
continue
to
to
hear.
take that break.
Yes,
All right.
Thanks, Angie. Let's turn now to a massive recall impacting meat sold at major grocery stores nationwide. Officials from the Department of Agriculture say nearly 10 million pounds of meat are being recalled due to possible listeria contamination. The news comes as the USDA launches its own investigation into how it handled that deadly boar's head outbreak. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa joins us more with what you need to know.
Hey there. Well, this latest and sweeping recall is affecting store shelves at Trader Joe's, Wegmans, Kroger, Costco, and many other big-name grocers. And while getting sick from listeria is considered relatively rare, doctors say in some cases it can be life-threatening. This morning, new concerns over potential listeria contamination, with millions of pounds of ready-to-eat meat, chicken, and turkey pulled from major grocers nationwide after federal safety testing found the bacteria in some foods from Bruce Pack, a pre-cooked meat producer. The items came from its Oklahoma plant, where production is now paused.
That widespread distribution network could deliver food to many different areas.
The far-reaching recall includes popular staples like chicken enchiladas sold at Trader Joe's, salads from Wegmans and Kroger, and pasta at Walmart.
If you bought any ready-made salads, throw them away.
There are no confirmed illnesses so far, but the CDC says symptoms can take up to 10 weeks to develop.
What kind of symptoms should people look for?
Fever, severe muscle aches, or any type of sign of stiff neck or confusion.
The recall comes on the heels of a widespread listeria outbreak from contaminated boar's head deli meat, now tied to 10 deaths and 59 hospitalizations.
I went through hell and back again. I don't wish it on anyone.
With the USDA now launching an internal investigation into the agency's own handling of the matter. Boar's Head telling NBC News the company is aware of the probe and will be fully cooperative with matters related to the recall. Doctors warn pregnant women, the elderly, and immunocompromised individuals should be especially cautious. Officials recommend throwing out or returning any foods included in this latest recall. Back to you.
All right, Emily, thank you so much.
Coming up, it is a constant headache that ends up costing millions of Americans some big bucks. But this morning, the Biden administration is trying to crack down on companies that make consumers jump through hoops to cancel subscriptions. We've got the exclusive details.
First, though, the Menendez brothers are back in the spotlight this morning. The new fight over their case as one district attorney weighs whether the brothers should be resentenced, possibly released. That's next.
We're back now with the latest call to free the Menendez brothers, who were found guilty of killing their parents in 1989. Family members and attorneys for Eric and Lyle Menendez will be holding a news conference later this morning. Comes as the LA County District Attorney reviews the case. Here's NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett.
Hey there, this push for the Menendez brothers to be released getting a boost from multiple different corners now as the public grapples with a disturbing set of allegations that had been swirling around this case from the very beginning. It's all culminating in a major decision point for the top prosecutor in Los Angeles, landing right in the middle of his own re-election bid.
This morning, as a new Netflix series and documentary brings renewed attention to the Menendez brothers' case, their legal team is set to join forces today with nearly 24 of Lyle and Eric's extended family members as they call on the state to take a fresh look at whether they should stay behind bars for the double homicide.
It's been 35 years. If these were the Menendez sisters, they would not be in custody.
Despite the public pressure campaign, including some famous names now weighing in, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office says no decision has been made yet about whether it supports resentencing for the brothers, who were convicted in 1996 of killing their parents. Saying in a statement to NBC News, once a decision has been reached, the family members of the victims and the public will be notified. At the heart of the matter, allegations of abuse by their father, something the brothers raised at their first trial, which deadlocked.
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me.
But was largely excluded from their second trial, where they were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Among the pieces of evidence now being reviewed by investigators and part of their petition for freedom, an affidavit from a former member of the band Menudo, accusing their father, Jose Menendez, a high-powered music executive, of rape, which was detailed in the Peacock docuseries Menendez and Menudo, Boys Betrayed.
Jose Menendez me dijo, toma este vino, es un vino carísimo, y tómate toda la taza.
Something the district attorney says he couldn't ignore.
But for the documentary, quite frankly, we probably would not be talking at this point.
But prosecutors originally said Eric and Lyle killed for money, and their mother's brother, Milton Anderson, says they deserve to remain behind bars, writing, they planned to murder their parents only after they learned their dad was taking them out of the will. Their motive was pure greed.
While the district attorney's office hasn't said exactly when they are going to make a decision, they are set to formally respond to the brothers' petition for release next month. Back to you.
All right, Laura, Jared, thank you. For more on what to expect in this case, we're joined now by NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Good to have you with us. So we'll hear from the family today. I'm not sure if they're going to offer anything new, but we'll be intrigued to hear what they have to say. With the district attorney, any idea how long it could be for the DA to review this case? What do you think might happen here?
So this case has caused a kind of personal issue with me because I'm old enough to remember this trial, and the sympathetic view of the Menendez brothers was not what was going on in the early 90s. And in fact, you need look no further than this building. You can find an SNL skit involving John Malkovich where they totally lampooned the Menendez brothers. Let's take a step back. These two lied to police. They went on a spending spree. They only got caught really almost by accident and tried to get away with this murder. And yes, the fact that they were abused is significant. And yes, California legislation allows DAs to take a second look when there's pre-conviction abuse. And that is a good thing. But what this case has shown me is how much America and society has changed in 35 years, because a lot of these allegations of abuse, not all, but a lot of them were known at the original trials. And in fact, in their second trial, it was specifically excluded by the court. So that means they considered it and said, no, that's not significant enough to come in. It shows how much society has changed that we're so willing to consider something like pre-conviction abuse as a factor in resentencing. And resentencing would really likely just mean time served, they get out.
So I think that's important context, both positively and negatively for the brothers. So with that in mind, and not in the court of public opinion because everybody's recently watched a Netflix show, but what would actually need to happen for the district attorney to be convinced to retry this?
Well, we know there are at least two different pieces of evidence, and most of them are evidence of that pre-conviction sexual abuse. But again, even if that didn't come in at the first trial, they were allowed to present that defense to some degree. And there's evidence that it worked, because the first trial where that evidence came in was a mistrial for both defendants. In the second trial, much of that abuse evidence was excluded for the defense, and of course, the brothers were convicted. So there's some evidence that the sexual abuse would have made a difference. But again, I just can't emphasize enough that the Menendez brothers were simply not seen as sympathetic figures in the early 90s, not at all. And that looked no further than an SNL skit completely lampooning them.
Of course, the court of public opinion does matter because, as Laura noted, the DA is up for re-election here. So when we have Netflix shows, when we hear from Kim Kardashian and Rosie O'Donnell, that actually can make a difference here, right?
Yes, it seems we're developing a third appellate process in the United States. And it's, if you're famous or infamous enough and there's a documentary about you, you have a shot at getting out. And I'm not being glib. The reason I bring this up is that I think any defense attorney out there, and even some prosecutors, would say, I think there are some more, I know of some more deserving people in prison who may not have even committed the crime. These two defendants admitted they committed the crime, tried to hide it for some time, and they didn't come and volunteer, hey, we did it because we were being abused. They were ultimately arrested because they slipped up and they were clumsy and they were out buying Rolexes and on a spending spree, and dad had written them out of the will, and now they stood to inherit $14 million. Again, all of this is known now, but I think as Americans, we have a more developed view of the effect of sexual abuse on a young mind. And these two were young. They were adults, but barely adults at the time.
Very different lens we see things through these days. Danny Savalos, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Really interesting conversation. Coming up, trouble on tap.
After the break, the fluoride fight that now has a federal judge asking the EPA to step in. what it might mean for the water we drink. That's next. We're back now with some new updates on those public health concerns about fluoride in your drinking water. For a long time, health experts celebrated how beneficial the mineral can be for your teeth. But now a federal judge is ruling that the EPA needs to take action to regulate it. NBC News correspondent Yasmin Usugin explains.
Water fluoridation, hailed one of the greatest health achievements of the 20th century, proven to prevent tooth decay.
Children of today have 1/3 the number of cavities that children had 12 years ago.
200 million Americans live in communities that put fluoride in its tap water, and almost every toothpaste has fluoride in it.
Superior fluoride toothpaste.
Officials touted its benefits while cavity rates across the country fell. But unlike toothpaste, which is not swallowed, there were always skeptics when it came to drinking water.
Fluoride is a toxic chemical. In large doses, it's a rat poison.
The anti-fluoride movement, once seen as a fringe, misinformed effort, is now gaining steam as more research is done. Some communities voting to remove it from their drinking water.
The county commission voted 3-2 to remove it.
And now a win in court for those wanting more oversight. A federal judge ordering the EPA to further regulate fluoride in drinking water. The determination stemming from a U.S. government report from the National Toxicology Program concluding that fluoride at 1.5 milligrams per liter, twice the recommended amount in drinking water, is linked to lower IQ levels in children. The study was based primarily on data from non-U.S. countries, including Canada, China, and Mexico, getting higher levels of fluoride. But it also found that about 1.9 million people, or less than 1% of the U.S. population, are getting naturally occurring fluoride at levels of 1.5 or higher. Judge Chen writing in his ruling that while it's not established fluoride levels in U.S. water is causing lower IQ in kids, the EPA still must act, saying, and I quote, simply put, the risk to health at exposure levels in United States drinking water is sufficiently high to trigger a regulatory response by the EPA.
The federal ruling stated there's not enough of a margin of safety there.
Dr. Ashley Mallon is a researcher and professor at the University of Florida and has studied the effect of higher fluoride levels in pregnant women.
Since 2017, there have been several rigorously conducted prospective birth cohort studies in North America showing that fluoride exposure during the prenatal period has been consistently associated with reduced IQ in children.
The EPA has argued it isn't clear what impact fluoride exposure has at lower levels.
I think it's advisable at this stage that pregnant women reduce their fluoride intake and that they are vigilant about reducing their baby's fluoride intake after birth as well.
Federal drinking water standards that included fluoride guidelines were first set back in 1962. Since 2015, officials have recommended a fluoridation level of 0.7 milligrams per liter of water. Before that, the recommended upper range was 1.2. The WHO has set a safe limit of fluoride in drinking water at 1.5.
There's a lot of methodologic concerns about those studies that have come out recently.
Dr. Charlotte Lewis, a professor of pediatrics at the University of Washington School of Medicine, thinks eliminating fluoride from drinking water could be a huge step back for healthcare.
Our concern is that the judge did not understand that for every mineral out there, whether iron, calcium, whatever, if you have too much of it, it's toxic. If you have too little, you're deficient. And the same holds true for fluoride. So at the level 0.7 parts per million, which is what we have in our water supply, that's never been looked at in a population-based study to see whether or not that affects IQ.
The EPA issuing a statement saying in part this: they are reviewing the decision and that it currently regulates fluoride at higher levels. As it seems the battle over the tap is just heating up. Yasmin Vasugian, NBC News.
All right, how much alcohol is safe to drink? That is a question that's been debated a lot over the years.
Now, as the evidence about alcohol's harmful effects continues to mount up, many people are looking at ways to cut back on their drinking, from dry January to sober October to bartenders getting creative with non-alcoholic cocktails. The shift toward drinking more moderately does appear to be growing.
We can talk more about these strategies for drinking less with Hilary Scheinbaum. She's a journalist, lifestyle expert, and author of the new book, Going Dry, a workbook. Hilary, good morning. So we've discussed the term sober curious on this show before, but this does seem to be more of like a cultural shift toward drinking less overall. A lot of people talking about it outside the month of January. What patterns are you seeing, and how much is it that young people are interested in driving this trend?
Yes, absolutely. So because all of these studies are coming out now that, alcohol is not great for our health as we once thought it was, people, especially young people, millennials, and specifically Gen Z, we're seeing that they are drinking significantly less than the generations before them.
So what advice do you have for someone who may want to try either going dry or going damp, a little less alcohol, but they aren't sure how to take that first step, especially maybe they're going to go out and their friends start drinking and they just feel like they got to join in?
Absolutely. I always recommend alcohol removed wines, non-alcoholic beers, and non-alcoholic spirits. There are great brands like Menendez Alcohol Removed, which is a sparkling wine, or Fluoride, which is a spirit in rum and other flavors. And certainly you can even go into your fridge and use an Olipop and make a creative non-alcoholic cocktail. So you don't need fancy ingredients, but you can still, drink with your friends without actually drinking alcohol.
What are some of the biggest challenges that someone can expect if they do try to reduce their alcohol, and then tell us how to get over those?
Yeah, I think in our society, alcohol is everywhere. It's at sporting games, it's at celebrations like weddings. It is, at birthdays, and certainly it is hard to avoid. So I think just going into a situation and preparing and saying, I am going to drink that non-alcoholic beer instead, or having a friend come along and do it with you, I think that can be really impactful, and it definitely helps.
Folks are obviously doing this for a reason. What are some of the benefits that people will see if they cut back on alcohol? What will they see in their lives?
Oh my gosh, there are so many benefits. There's better sleep, there's clearer skin. You'll definitely be less foggy headed and clear minded. And certainly you'll save a lot of money because those cocktails are not cheap.
That is very true. But you know what? I've noticed neither are the mocktails.
Right. They are pricey.
I'm like, you're charging me $17 for some juice now that this is trendy? Hilary, thank you very much. Good conversation.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up, more tooth news. We're going to look at a troubling online trend involving your teeth.
The new warning about so-called veneer techs and what our investigation uncovered about the dangerous dental fad that could leave you with permanent damage. More on that up next. We are back with a troubling new trend that's popping up on social media. People are turning to so-called veneer techs to brighten their smiles. Problem is, there is no such thing as a certified veneer tech. Often patients are misled about services they're getting and the permanent harm that can result. Earlier this month, authorities in Atlanta even arrested a man for installing veneers and practicing dentistry without a license. NBC News Now anchor Vicki Nguyen has more.
The social media videos are convincing. Straight white teeth provided by so-called veneer techs who say they can give you that perfect smile. Instead of charging $500 to $1,200 per tooth like a licensed dentist, veneer techs offer the whole smile for about $2,000. No x-rays or drilling required, just a composite glued to the teeth.
They're basically advertised as acrylic nails for the teeth. It's something that just goes over the top, and it's completely reversible.
Influencer Andrea Joseph said she was contacted on Instagram by Devon Odueso, a self-described dental assistant. He asked if she could promote his business, VVS Smiles, in exchange for free veneers. After a year of watching Devon's business grow on Instagram, she decided to enroll in his course and travel to Atlanta to learn how to become a veneer tech herself.
What was the promise? A lot of money. He's like, oh, I've made over $100,000 in a year, and I only started this 6 months ago.
She says the 2-day course cost $2,500. 1 day spent watching YouTube videos and listening to other veneer techs explain how they found patients. She says on the 2nd day, she and 5 other students practiced on a patient in a home outfitted with a dental chair and equipment.
Overall, how much actual hands-on time did you get? I was probably in the person's mouth for about 25 minutes.
Armed with this certificate of completion, Andrea says she was told to practice on patients by forming the veneers but not gluing them on until she felt ready to do it for real. She says she used materials she bought from Amazon and eBay.
I would take the composite, I would take that off.
Oh, wow.
And put it right on the tooth there.
Okay. If you didn't know what you were doing, could you end up damaging someone's teeth?
Oh yes, of course. You can cut somebody's gums. You can accidentally shave their real tooth down.
She says she didn't realize what she was doing was illegal until she posted about it on social media.
Someone then took my photos and was like, this is 100% illegal.
NBC News reached out multiple times to Odueso, whose legal name is Devon Antley, but he declined to comment. Dentist Josefa Capadia posted this TikTok video to his 1.3 million followers to warn them about this dangerous trend. What's the biggest misconception about these veneers?
That they last for a very long time. It can just last a month or less.
He says he removed these veneers from a patient who visited a tech in Atlanta.
She had this burning sensation around her gums and her teeth. They were very inflamed.
How much does it cost to fix bad dental work that's been done by someone who's not licensed?
So you're looking at about $2,000 or more per tooth to fix it.
The American Dental Association warns risks from veneers include infection, nerve damage, and even a physical alteration to your bite. And they say the work should be done by or under the supervision of a licensed dentist. What's your bottom line takeaway message for people who see these advertisements, see these videos, and want to do this?
I would say buyer beware. Please do your research. Don't get excited by it's just a cheap price, and just be aware that there will be complications afterward.
As for Andrea, she now wants her veneers removed.
Even though my smile looks nice, it's not as nice as it's portrayed to be.
Vicky Nguyen, NBC News.
Let's turn now to some financial headlines. Lufthansa, Germany's flagship airline, has been hit with a historic $4 million fine.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that. Another news. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. Yes, so the Department of Transportation fining Lufthansa a record $4 million for allegedly discriminating against Jewish passengers in 2022. The agency says more than 100 people, nearly all of whom were Orthodox Jewish men, were prohibited from boarding a connecting flight in Germany. Passengers interviewed by investigators said Lufthansa mistreated them all as if they were a single group, denying them boarding for the alleged misbehavior of a few. Americans are increasingly owing more on their auto loans than their cars are worth. Data from Edmunds shows underwater car loans hit an all-time high during the third quarter of this year. The average amount owed is $6,400, with more than 20% of people owning more than $10,000. Edmunds says many people who bought cars in 2021 and 2011 paid over the suggested retail price, and trade-in values have taken a hit. Some consumers also took out longer-term loans to reduce their monthly payments. And when you've got to go, well, you've got to go to Salt Lake City. This year's winner of America's Best Restroom Contest is a Maverick gas station near the Salt Lake Airport. The contest highlights the country's cleanest, most innovative, and decorative public bathrooms. The Maverick restroom is being lauded for its sparkling fixtures, spacious stalls, soothing earth tones, and murals of snow-covered mountains on the walls.
Wow.
Tourists will be flocking to Salt Lake City. Check that out.
Book me a ticket. Thanks, Silvana.
You got it.
Now to an NBC News exclusive. The Biden administration is now coming down on companies that make it more difficult to cancel stuff. Everything from gym memberships to online subscriptions and phone services. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello joins us from Washington with more on this. Tom, good morning.
Hey, buddy, I think everybody can relate to this, right? The Federal Trade Commission says it's heard from thousands of Americans who are frustrated that it's so easy to sign up for subscriptions and memberships, but they have to jump through so many hoops when they try to cancel.
I want to quit the gym. You want to quit?
Have you ever felt like Chandler Bing trying to cancel something you don't want anymore?
I want to quit the gym. Okay. Dave in the membership office handles quitters.
It's become a common complaint on TikTok.
Like, you basically have to remove your kidney just to cancel the freaking subscription.
The Federal Trade Commission says it receives 70 complaints a day from consumers who say it's too difficult to cancel or quit a subscription.
How about 15% off? How about 30% off? How about instead of $80, it's $20? How about no, I hit the cancel button.
Now, the FTC says it's issuing new rules requiring businesses to make canceling as easy as signing up.
And the principle here is quite basic. No American should be stuck paying for a service that they no longer want.
The FTC says too often Americans end up paying more money and wasting their time just trying to opt out. In June, the FTC sued Amazon, accusing the e-commerce giant of deceptively enrolling millions of shoppers into Amazon Prime without their consent, then making it hard to leave. Amazon tells NBC News Prime's sign-up and cancellation processes are clear and simple by design. Customers sign up for Prime because it's an incredible service and a great value, and they can cancel their Prime membership with a few clicks from the homepage. The new FTC rules will prohibit sellers from misrepresenting any material fact made while marketing goods or services, failing to disclose material terms prior to gaining a consumer's billing information, failing to obtain a consumer's express informed consent to the negative option, which assumes customer silence means they want to continue with the plan, and failing to provide a simple mechanism to cancel a subscription and halt the charges.
Companies have to make it as easy to cancel the subscription as it is to sign up for one. So they can't do things like say it's one click online to sign up, but then to cancel, you have to make a phone call or go in person.
Good news for Chandler.
We're doomed, okay? They're going to take $50 a month out of our accounts for the rest of our lives. What are we going to do?
Well, you could actually go to the gym.
He isn't Matthew Perry, still a timeless, iconic comedian. I once tried to cancel my gym membership, guys. I had to provide paperwork that I was actually moving out of the country before they let me cancel. What? This new rule, yeah, no joke. I had to provide the paperwork, you know. Anyway, so this new rule takes effect in 6 months. The FTC's new rules are meant to update regulations dating back to 1973. Yeah, that's a bit outdated, I would say. Back to you guys.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Tom, I'm glad you got out of that gym membership. Thank you. All right.
But maybe you should just work out, Tom, as they said. A new nationwide study shows a growing number of girls are interested in science, tech, engineering, and math. That's known as STEM. But their participation in these subjects, it's still lagging. It's because many students doubt their abilities. NBC News Digital reporter Maya Eaglin has more on how to tackle the confidence crisis.
What would you say is your favorite class in school right now? Science. Science? How about you? Science.
What is the first data that we have to gather?
There's encouraging news for the future of girls in STEM.
We see girls' interest in STEM is high and it's rising. We saw the biggest increase among the 5th and 6th grade girls.
There's an increase in girls' interest in STEM careers, with 55% expressing interest, up from 45% in 2017, according to a new study by nonprofit Ruling Our Experiences, or ROX.
Milliliters, thank you.
But it's not all good news.
Their confidence in their abilities, specifically around STEM subjects, is decreasing.
59% of girls reported believing they were good at math and science. That's down from 73% in 2017.
It's an intersection of mental health challenge, confidence challenges that then are impacting girls' aspirations and their decisions.
Middle school girls in the study reporting emotional issues that were previously more common in high school.
What we're dealing with is not a lack of competence, but a crisis of confidence.
Similar to like when I was growing up, society made it seem that STEM was more for boys.
Lindsay Guzman is the 4th grade STEM teacher at the bilingual bicultural school in New York City and leads an after-school science club.
And I think a lot of it has to be with like the culture that you build in the classroom. And then they see me also, a woman in STEM. If I could do it, you could do it.
Did the plant start to grow?
We're not going to develop that sense of confidence identity if people from their own community aren't creating those invitations to come to the table.
Margaret Koifer works for the STEM Alliance, a nonprofit dedicated to increasing equitable STEM education.
There's interest, which is fantastic, but this persistence to stick to it and follow it as a career, that is the struggle when we talk about girls and people of color in terms of pursuing STEM careers.
With women making up 35% of STEM jobs today, Hinkleman says she thinks that can change.
The idea of taking a risk or getting something wrong is a risk that many girls don't want to take. But if we can construct environments where it's valuable for them to learn from their mistakes, I think we can shift this trajectory.
And these ambitious young girls agree.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
A teacher? And what class would you teach?
Science.
Maya Eaglin, NBC News.
Oh, okay. That was just so sweet. And
Love to
such
see
an
that.
important story, yeah. Coming up, she was America's sweetheart on the 90s hit Boy Meets World.
Now Danielle Fishel is opening up about her breast cancer diagnosis and some shocking stats about millennials and their health. That conversation is next.
Welcome back. It's looking like the Eras era is not over yet. Taylor Swift announced yesterday that she's releasing a nearly 300-page hardcover book inspired by her record-breaking Eras tour. It is called The Official Eras Tour Book, and it will include Swift's personal reflections as well as never-before-seen behind-the-scenes photos. The book hits shelves only at Target on Black Friday. That, by the way, is on November 29th this year.
How much is it?
I don't think we know the answer to that yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully less than the concert tickets.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's not cheap.
Probably not.
Yeah. But we love to see it. Finally this hour, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this morning, the star of one of America's favorite 90s TV shows is using her own experience to remind everyone to be proactive about their health.
Many of us will recognize Danielle Fishel from her role as Topanga Lawrence on Boy Meets World and the show's spin-off Girl Meets World. Now she's also a breast cancer survivor and a paid spokesperson for Aflac. Aflac just published a new study that shows 77% of Americans are delaying routine health screenings that could detect serious diseases like cancer. And that number jumps up to 84% for millennials, people between the ages of 28 and 43. That's a time when those screenings start to matter the most.
Danielle Fishel joins us now. Danielle, good morning. We are so excited to have you. Thank you for joining us. So you were diagnosed with breast cancer back in July at just 43 years old. What was your first thought when you heard that news? How much of a shock was it to you? And of course, how are you doing now?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it was a total shock when I got the news. I was feeling very healthy. I was looking very healthy. I regularly see my doctor. I had no reason to suspect I had cancer. I had also had a clean mammogram 1 year before. So I'm incredibly grateful that when I got my reminder to make my appointment, I made it that day because I found out I had cancer only a year after hearing I did not. So I'm so glad I was on top of it.
I know you've called yourself lucky that your cancer was caught early at stage 0. First of all, tell us more about what stage 0 means and about the importance of annual screenings so that you can detect something so early.
Yeah, so, you know, as the Aflac Wellness Survey found, 56% of people do find out that they have cancer at these routine screenings. So that's one of the reasons why they are so important. Stage 0 is meaning it is technically pre-cancer, but it is treated as if it is exactly like a stage 1 or stage 2. I had to surgically remove it. I will most likely need targeted or maybe whole breast radiation moving forward. And my cancer was estrogen positive, which means it's feeding off of estrogen. So I'm going to have to go on an estrogen blocker. And yeah, so mine was aggressive. It was high grade. So had I put off my annual exam for any longer, it may not have been stage 0. It could have been stage 1 or stage 2. I didn't have any lymph node involvement, but I could have had I put it off any longer.
What has the response been since you've opened up about your diagnosis, and what do you want people who are hearing about this to know? Anybody maybe going through their own journey as well?
Well, no one wants to hear that they have cancer. It was definitely the most shocking news of my life. But what I want you to know, if you're going through your own journey, you probably already know, which is that the cancer community is the most warm, welcoming, helpful, educational group of people I've ever met in my life. I have been absolutely inundated with messages of support, people's own experiences. And the messages that have truly meant the most to me are the people who have reached out to say, thanks to you telling me about your experience, I've put the appointment that I've been putting off for years, I've finally made. And I'm going to get my mammogram next week. I've encouraged my mom to get her mammogram. Like, those things mean so much to me because staying on top of my exams, I really do believe saved my life.
How are you feeling after surgery, and just how is your treatment going now?
My treatment is going well. As I mentioned, I had successful 2 surgeries. I had my first lumpectomy in August. I had a margin revision in September. That pathology came back that there was no more evidence of cancer, which I feel very good about. But there's still, they call it a journey for a reason. There's still a lot of steps in front of me. I am a little bit dreading radiation. I don't know exactly when I'll start that. I have a couple of appointments coming up next week. And I'm also not really looking forward to starting hormone therapy. I've heard mixed reviews about what those side effects are, but you do what you have to do in order to live your best life. And I know that some of my best years are still in front of me, and I'm ready and willing to tackle them head on.
For anyone who's listening to this, or I just will personally say as a young woman, it makes me think about, okay, at what point should I start doing what? Remind us of those ages of screening. And then also the importance of if something feels off with you, if it's not just time for that annual exam, how you should go about that.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, you have to be your best advocate. You have to speak up for yourself. Your wellness really does matter. So if you're feeling like something is just not right, go to the doctor. And if they brush you off or say, oh, it's probably nothing, and that doesn't resonate with you, keep pushing. Go to a different doctor. You just like when the people talk about with therapists, you don't necessarily find your first great therapist right away. You have to keep working. Doctors are the same way. So if you're not getting a response that you want, keep pushing. It's really important to be an advocate for yourself. And also, I find it very heartening that the wellness study found that people actually want to be gently nudged by their friends and family members. So Topanga definitely would have been that friend gently nudging you. Consider me that friend gently nudging you today.
Danielle, thank you very much. Really important information, and we're so happy you're doing well. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much.
It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.